What's up, guys? Tim Little. Welcome back to Tactical Bass. In today's video, we're talking wintertime jerkbait tips. Some tips and some tricks to help you catch more fish on jerkbaits right now. Jerkbaits is a giant category. For me, they really shine fall and into the winter. The dead heart of winter, cold water jerkbaits, for me, produce a ton of fish. You know, we talk about speed cranking, we talk about throwing the A-rig and all that sort of stuff, but there's something special about suspending a jerkbait over a fish's head in cold water. You know, this time of the year, there's a lot, well, let me back up. There's a lot of great jerkbaits on the market. You know, just like crankbaits, you have different actions. You have tight wobbles and wide wobbles, and jerkbaits, you got real wide kicking baits. You have real tight kicking baits. And for me, this time of the year, everything is subtle. Like I said in many videos, in the wintertime, everything is slowing down. That includes, or it should include, the cadence on your jerkbait. When everything slows down and this thing is not moving nearly as fast or aggressively, the fish have time to investigate. They have time to look at it. So in my opinion, this time right now, your jerkbaits have to be the most precise, the best looking, the most natural looking out of any time of the entire season. So I have some very specific baits and colors I want you guys to try. We're going to cover that here shortly, but understand that a jerkbait in the wintertime can be lights out. You know, something about rip, pause, having that cadence, you know, pause. Maybe that pause is 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds. It's just suspending there. You know, that bait's just sitting there. It's not sinking. It's not rising. It's just holding over those fish. You can see them just come up and just suck it in. Suspending a jerkbait over these fish's heads this time of the year can produce bites when a lot of other techniques won't. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Understand, man, it's cold out. Understand that this video applies to different water temps, right? Doesn't matter where you are in the country, depending on which water temp you have, you're going to be able to apply this video and apply these baits. But understand that, you know, guys up north, they might be fishing, if they're not iced out, they might be fishing water temps in the mid to high 30s, low 40s. And you have guys down in Florida or out west or down in Texas that might be fishing water temps in the mid 50s. So taking a Vision 110+1 Junior and fishing it in the different water temperatures, the bait's going to act differently. It's going to fall differently. It's going to float differently depending on your water temperature. So one key tip, if you guys don't get anything out of this video, understand that you can't take a jerkbait and throw it in a bunch of different water temperatures and expect it to have the same float, okay? The same suspension. The best way or easiest way to adjust that is the hooks. If it's sinking, you can go with lighter wire hooks. If it's floating, you can go with more stout hooks, heavier wire hooks. So down below in the video description, all these baits I'm going to talk about, we'll leave our best hook upgrades for you. But understand that water temps really adjust or affect the depth of the bait and, more importantly, the float or the suspension of the bait. So wintertime jerkbait fishing, like I said, these baits have to be precise. They have to look good. They have to swim good. They have to really trick these fish into biting. And as an angler, this is probably one of the most patient definitely one of the most patient reaction bites there is, right? You can jerk, let it sit. Sometimes 15, 20, 30 seconds. I know some guys will do it for a minute. I don't have the patience to do that. But when you're sitting there and you let it sit for 30 seconds and you're just watching that line jump, it can be extremely time consuming, especially when it's cold, right? You're shivering, you're cold, you're sitting there watching it, almost like a Cinco bite. You're watching your line because you're gonna see that line flick, or it's gonna lay down if they bite it and come to you. A lot of times these fish aren't that active. They're just gonna come up and grab it and either swim off, which your line will tighten up, they'll come to you, your line will lay down on the water, or you'll see that dunk, you'll see that little flicker on your line like a weightless Senko bite. But you have to be patient. This cold water, it tests our patience, it tests our gear, but a jerkbait, even though it is extremely cold, can produce fish when even some of the most subtle finesse fishing techniques won't. All right, let's talk about, we talked about water temps. You know, for me, a basic rule, if your water temps are in the mid to low 50s, you can still be somewhat active with a jerkbait. As you start getting into the mid 40s, low 40s, you really need to start slowing down. And then especially in your high to mid 30s, you really need to slow down. And that's when we're talking about those longer pauses in your cadence, right? Rip, rip. Start out with a, I don't know, 3 to 5 second cadence, like a pause. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, rip. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,004, 1,005. Rip, rip, let it sit. Get that cadence going and pay attention to when you actually get bites, what your cadence was, because that will determine, or at least give you a clue to how active these fish are and what they want. So pay attention to your cadence and adjust it. If you're not getting bit, go a little bit longer. If you're not getting bit, go a little bit longer. You know, you'll have to play around with your cadence, but for me, start with that 3 to 5 second cadence and then expand from there. Now, before we jump into these baits that I want to talk about, because like I said, I have some really precise baits I want to talk to you or share with you guys. What am I looking for as far as areas on the lake to throw a jerkbait? And it's a lot like where I'd throw my drop shot or my jig or my A-rig or my speed crank. I'm looking for bluff walls, right? If I can find a bluff wall where like the channel swing comes right next to that bluff wall, shoreline's real close, you get those steep edges, deep water access right there, that is money. You know, I'm looking for channel swings, I'm looking for breaks right there on the ledge. I'm looking for basically anywhere these fish can congregate up and school on the bait fish that are coming through. So again, the bluff walls, the channel swings, the breaks, and then another great, or 2 other places I really can catch them this time of the year, vertical structure. So like bridge pilings and the faces of dams. You know, that you get that real steep break. You know, those fish will hang right there and they might not be suspended, they might be down on bottom like 20 feet, 25 feet, whatever. But depending on your water clarity, you know, you throw this jerkbait out there and you get that thing down and then you hit it, let it sit. These fish are going to come up. They don't like stuff up above them. They don't like things just sitting there, so they will come up and investigate. And if you can get 1 or 2 that kind of come up together, then it's on, because they're going to kind of compete for that bait. But bluff walls, channel swings, your vertical structure, like I said, those are great places to throw jerkbaits, especially in the wintertime. Okay, now let's talk about the baits themselves. There are a lot of good jerkbaits on the market. A lot of brands make them. You know, there's been a lot of, seems like, replicated baits, or at least styles of baits in the recent years. But to me, to Matt, the standard in jerkbaits is going to be the Megabass Vision 110 line. Okay, that 110, that has really set the standard for jerkbaits, especially here in the States. You know, it's a Japanese company, but their attention to detail, their colors, their patterns, the way this bait balances in the water, the way it suspends, to me, it sets the standard, especially for wintertime jerkbaits. Like I said, this is a finesse jerkbait. You don't have to hit it really hard. You can hit it real sharp, but real soft, but quick, and get that thing just to dart just a little bit. You don't want it covering a ton of water, but the way this thing sits in the water really sets this jerkbait apart. So for me, in that Vision 110 lineup, it's fairly simple, the ones that I like to throw. I like to throw the Vision 110 plus 1, okay? A little bit longer bill, a little bit deeper diving jerkbait to get down to those deeper fish. I like the Vision 110 Junior plus 1. This is quickly becoming my favorite. The last couple years, that 110 Junior plus 1 is a little bit smaller than the traditional 110 plus 1, and it gets down at good depths. And then this guy right here is lights out also. This is the X-Nanahan plus 2. So here it is. Ooh, sticky sharp hooks. Here it is next to that 110 plus 1. Quite a bit smaller. So you guys have heard the trends. You guys, we've talked about the trends in bass fishing, downsizing our baits, going with smaller baits, being more subtle, being more finesse. That plus 2, that X-Nanahan plus 2 is an awesome downsized jerkbait. So those three right there, the 110 plus 1, the 110 plus 1 Junior, or Junior plus 1, and then that X-Nanahan plus 2. Those are my 3 absolute favorite wintertime jerkbaits. Now, it depends on the size of bait I'm trying to mimic. It depends on the depth I'm trying to get. But those 3 are my standouts, especially in cold water. Like I said, these baits have to be precise. They have to be balanced well. They have to look the most realistic. Again, because you're not ripping really hard. You're not covering a lot of water and getting all erratic where these fish are just chasing it, right? They're sitting there and they're just looking at this thing, and they have a lot of time to choose if they want to eat that or not. And then obviously with the Mega Bass, you get the amazing colors. You could go broke trying to buy all the colors that Mega Bass produces. They have some amazing colors. I like to keep it fairly simple. The best or easiest way to put it, simplify it for you guys, on sunny days, I like to go with clear, flashy baits, okay? Translucent baits, flashy, really natural, really realistic. On cloudy days or low light, low visibility days, I like to go with the matte colors. It doesn't throw a lot of flash. It has a little bit more presence in the water. It's not really see-through, but that matte is a great color to go on those cloudy days. And then water clarity. Again, clear water, you're going with those. I'm going to give you specific colors here in just a second, but I'm going with the translucent colors, the flashy colors, and then on your stained or even muddy waterways, I'm going with like a French pearl or maybe an elegy bone, something with some chartreuse on the bottom. But the colors that Mega Bass has, I believe is second to none. They have some amazing colors. So again, for my clear, sunny days, I'm going like this guy right here. That's Kasumi Ito. Actually, I got it right here in this guy. Okay. Ito Clear Laker. Again, there'll be links down below in the video description where you guys can really check out these colors. They have so many, like I said, I think there's like 50 plus colors that you can choose from. But what else? I like the Clear Laker. I like the Kasumi Ito. The Ito Tennessee Shad is another really, really good one for clear water. And then backing it off, stained water, muddy water. That stain reaction's a great color. French Pearl. Like I said, the elegy bone. And then your matte shads, if there's low light, okay? I'll typically stay away from from the mats and stuff in real muddy water. I'll go with like your whites or your chartreuses. But guys, winter jerkbait fishing, it is a lot of fun. You know, even if it's freezing out, you're getting that action in, you're getting that movement in, you're staying warm. But it can produce bites when other techniques won't. As far as gear, you guys know how much we love that X-Pride 610 medium. That is a fantastic rod, all-around rod, but it's an amazing jerkbait rod. And then something that I run specifically this time of the year is 10-pound fluorocarbon. You know, something that is easy to manage. So typically I'm using like FC Sniper for most of my fishing, Sunline, Seagar, and VizX. But for this technique, that Assassin is real. It's a lot softer line, and it's easier to manage in that cold weather, that cold, you know, your hands are just real tight, and having that more limber or soft line really works well. It lays down well on the spool. And again, 10-pound fluorocarbon, that is key for me. Helps those baits get down. It doesn't have a lot of drag in the water, and it lets those baits suspend true, and that is really key. So guys, like I said, down below in the video description, I will link our favorite hook upgrades to each bait, and our favorite colors in each of those 3 baits that I talked about. But wintertime jerkbait fishing, it's an amazing technique. I have one rigged with me all the time, and it's a great way to catch them. You know, especially now with electronics and forward-facing sonar, seeing those fish, you know, come up, looking at your bait, they're inspecting it, and then they pull off. You're like, oh, probably should change colors. You make a little bit of a color adjustment. Now they're fighting over it. You're catching 2 at a time. It's really cool, especially when it's wintertime, cold weather. Having those fish fighting over your jerkbait, it's a lot of fun, and it will put fish in the boat when other techniques won't. Guys, as always, thank you for watching. If you like this video or learned something from it, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys on the next video.